What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So why don't we ever see anything get done when it comes to Social Security reform or Social Security increase? Why do we see Congress people, they'll put out a proposal and then it doesn't go anywhere? I'm going to show you. This is a perfect clip to show you guys of the House Budget Committee. Right now they're going through their appropriations bills. And a part of this process, you're going to see politicians put forward amendments. And so Representative Boyle put forward this amendment so people who make $400,000 or more will have to start paying into the payroll tax again. This is something I've been talking a lot about. This is part of Representative Larson's Social Security 2100 Act. And so I'm going to show you this clip. I'm going to show you it in its entirety. It's about 12 minutes, so this video is going to be a little lengthy. Now, I have a lot to say when it comes to the dialogue back and forth that these lawmakers had when it comes to this amendment. And I'm going to show you the very end, because at the very end, they actually vote. So basically, when you're looking at these amendments, they're going to start in the committees, and then if it gets out of the committee, then it could go to the floor. But obviously, you have to have a speaker in order to bring it to the floor. Right now, we don't have a speaker. But even if we did have a speaker, it's up to them if they want to bring it to the floor or not. So this is the beginning steps of, so first you have a proposal, and then that proposal goes to the committees, and then they vote on it in the committees, and then they move it out of the committee and they can bring it to the floor. So I'm going to show you this clip. Like I said, it's about 12 minutes, so it's a long clip. However, all of the information in this clip is very valuable because it shows you exactly what's going on with these lawmakers, and it shows you why things don't get done. So that's what we're going to focus on in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell notification, and then click all. By clicking all, you'll get notified anytime we post a video. We do daily videos here, so by clicking the bell notification and clicking all, you should be getting updated every day. And just a reminder, thank you for your support. I really appreciate it. And if you'd like to follow me on Twitter and Threads, you can at the TEC Show Live. Okay, so I want you guys to watch this full clip. And I probably will be talking through this because there's some things I just have to stop and talk about just to kind of give you more information when it comes to Social Security reform. Now, you have two sides. You have one side that wants to expand Social Security. And then you have another side that's saying, you know what, let's protect Social Security, but we don't want to expand Social Security. Now, there are different ways to do this. One way is to raise the cap. So people making $400,000 or more will have to pay into the payroll tax again. Right now, the current system for 2023, if you make $160,200, you no longer have to pay into that payroll tax. So anything under that, yes, you're paying into the payroll tax, but anything over that, you no longer have to pay into the payroll tax. And so what they want to do is people making $400,000 or more, they're going to say, okay, you need to pay into the payroll tax again. So you'll have a little gap in between. So people making $160,200 or below, you're going to pay into the payroll tax. And then people that are making over that, they're not going to pay into the payroll tax until they hit $400,000. Once you hit $400,000, then you're going to pay into the payroll tax again. So that's what they're going to be discussing here. And I just wanted to kind of set the scene for you. And we're going to listen to Representative Boyle first, and then we're going to have someone who was in opposition to the amendment. So he brings an amendment to the floor to raise the $400,000 cap. So raise the cap on people making $400,000 or more. Here we go.
Any other amendments?
I have an amendment at the desk. Sorry, with the gentleman. It's Amendment 14, or I believe this is, Mr. Chair, did you?
This amendment is number 2.
It's been renumbered to 2? Okay.
This is the Social Security issue?
That's correct, yeah.
This amendment's number 2. The clerk will designate the amendment. The staff will distribute copies of the amendment, and I will pause until everybody's gotten a copy of the amendment.
Amendment number 2 on Social Security, offered by Ranking Member Boyle.
Mr. Boyle, you're recognized now for 4 minutes.
Yeah, so on what was Amendment 14, but now recognized as Amendment 2, look, you actually heard some bipartisan agreement this morning a few times. One of which was, while we completely reject a cuts-only approach, we recognize that our growing national debt is an issue. Second point of agreement is we all recognize the reality that Congressional Budget Office and the folks who administer the Social Security Trust Fund have both verified that at some point in approximately a decade from now, CBO I think says 2023, the Social Security trustees say 2034, Nonetheless, about 10 years from now, the trust fund does become insolvent. This is a problem for all of us. This amendment works to solve that problem. This is from a piece of legislation that I have authored with Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, who is the chair of the Senate Budget Committee. This would ensure enough revenue is put into the Social Security Trust Fund to secure it through at least the year 2100. And those aren't my figures. The Joint Committee on Taxation has verified that by simply taking away the cap on those who make more than $400,000 a year, that will put in enough money into the Social Security Trust Fund that secures it for the rest of this century. So for people who say, my God, Social Security is running out of money, the only solution is drastic cuts, is completely false. And there's precedent for this. There was a time when Medicare Trust Fund was going out of money. The 1.45% was up to a certain cap. What led to that cap's removal was a previous fiscal challenge that the program faced. Here in this amendment does not remove the cap entirely. It keeps the cap, but simply for those who are making more than $400,000 a year, it again would reimpose the FICA tax. It also closes tax loopholes that allow some of the richest Americans from paying anything in Social Security taxes at all. You know, there are more than 67 million Americans who rely on Social Security benefits. It is an earned benefit. Whenever someone uses the word entitlement, I'm always quick to point out people paid into that program. My own father is one of those 67 million Americans. He worked for 50 years at hard blue-collar jobs, paying into Social Security. Now in retirement, the bulk of his retirement savings are in the earned benefit of Social Security. He, in many ways, is very representative of the average hardworking American. We have a solemn moral obligation to ensure that Social Security Trust Fund does not expire 10 years from now. Vote for this amendment. It ensures that it will be there for generations to come. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Ranking Member Boyle, and now ask if there are any claims from other members in opposition to this amendment. I'd like to yield now 5 minutes in recognition of the gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Drew Ferguson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I want to make a couple of comments here. Again, when we look at this budget, it does not touch benefits and Social Security. And we all recognize how important this program is, and it's important that we protect our seniors. If you look at where insolvency is, it keeps moving up. The date gets closer and closer. It's now within the 10-year window. If you look at what happens in 9 years, the shortfall will be approximately $616 billion in year one. This amendment, if you look at it, talking about removing the cap on $400,000, would add approximately $86 billion over the 10-year window. It is simply not enough to cover the major shortfall, and we're doing it in a way where we haven't analyzed what that would do to the overall economy in terms of productivity and job creation by continuing to raise taxes.
Okay, so the first thing that I want to say, and obviously I'm for the Social Security 2100 Act. I think that they should raise the cap so people making $400,000 or more should start having to pay into the payroll tax again. But just listening to what he's saying, his argument is that since it's not going to be enough, he said 80-something billion dollars, and they need 600-something billion dollars for the shortfall. Since it's not going to be enough, then I'm not going to vote for it because it's not going to do what it's said to do. Now he's giving you this information. He's not telling us where he's getting the information, or at least I didn't remember him saying where he was getting this information from. But nonetheless, he's saying, let's not do anything until we take some time to look at it. However, the more time that you take to look at it, the less money will be collected. So if you wanted to do, let's say, raise the cap, so people making $400,000 or more have to pay into the payroll tax, it's better to do it sooner than later. If you're going to wait, let's say you wait a couple years, well, it's going to be even less money collected. And let's say you wait until 2 years before, let's say you wait until 2030. Well, then it's going to be a situation where you're not going to have any money. And so the just let's wait, the wait approach, wait and see approach, it's not going to work in this situation. You actually have to do something. And so politicians like this that are just pretty much stalling, and that's what I'm seeing him do. He just doesn't want to raise taxes on wealthy people, and so he's just going to try to stall. And then as we wait, then it just becomes a situation where you can't do it at all because it's just not going to work. Now, you heard Representative Boyle, the lawmaker that was talking before, he said this will be enough revenue, and he had the information. I think he was coming from the CBO or what have you. And he said that this will allow the trust funds to be solvent to 2100. So we're talking 100 years, or almost 100 years, if you look at it that way. And so he's given us that information, and this lawmaker is saying, no, it's only going to be $80 billion. So we shouldn't do anything at all. So he's downplaying it and probably giving us a lowball number, whereas you have this other politician that's saying, Boyle is saying, look, this is something that we can do and something that will work. Now, I've heard some experts say that, yes, raising the cap would actually help the program and it would work. It would prolong the program. I just did a video a couple of days ago where I was talking about this, and I said the impact of raising that cap would be about 64%. Okay, 64%. It would benefit the current program, benefit the trust fund. And so somebody's not telling the truth. And I honestly believe that this politician is not telling us the truth, and he's trying to lowball it just because the more time that you wait, the less money you're going to be able to collect before the trust funds run out of money. So hopefully that makes sense.
We need to be a little bit more intellectually honest, and we need to do this in a bipartisan way. My colleagues on the other side of the aisle, and my dear friend from Connecticut, Mr. Larson, keeps talking about wanting to expand Social Security. I think our first priority should be to protect Social Security for the folks that have already earned and have paid into it. And also, I think we need to be honest about what this program is. When the ranking member talked about his dad paying into the system, just as my parents have as well, they made payments into the system to help support other retirees. And what we're running into is that we don't have enough workers right now paying into the system for the current number of retirees, and that math is only getting worse.
Okay, so he's actually making an argument against his initial argument. So he's saying that we shouldn't be raising taxes on people, or at least that's the argument that he's trying to say we should wait and see, it's not going to be enough. But he is saying right now that our workforce is not the same as it was in the past. In the past, we had a lot of people working, paying into that payroll tax, and that money was going to Social Security, going to help the people who are currently receiving benefits. Now that our workforce is dwindling, the only option is there's two options. One option is to cut Social Security. The other option is to raise taxes because you have less people in the workforce, and that's not going to change. And he goes on, and we'll play the rest of it where he talks about AI and stuff like that. But when it comes down to it, if you have less people working, you're going to have to raise taxes in order to bring in more revenue for Social Security. So his argument of, well, we shouldn't be raising taxes on people, he's defeating that argument by exactly the other argument that he's using here is, we have less people in the workforce. You have less people in the workforce, you're going to need to bring in revenue. So that means you're going to need to raise taxes.
I'd like to add one other thing. If we simply do this by saying we're gonna raise taxes, we are missing the boat on something that's happening in our economy that's pretty dramatic, and that is the advent of artificial intelligence and the impact that it could have on the workforce. And every single one of the jobs that potentially could be eliminated by AI is another hit to the solvency of both Social Security and Medicare. So I simply think that just raising taxes will have a negative impact on the economy, and I think that we need, and it's going to create fewer workers. We've seen this time and time again. As taxes go up, productivity goes down. We see closures. We see way too many pressures on business, and our job creators can't continue to add people to their payrolls, which is actually, under the current funding formula, what we need to extend solvency more than anything else.
Okay, and I love when I hear politicians talk about the job creators. So these businesses, they're the job creators. They're the ones that are hiring these people to work. And in my opinion, that's not how it works. The job creators are the people the customers. And let me give you this example. Let's say you have a pizza parlor, right? And that pizza parlor is selling pizza, and people are going to that establishment to purchase pizza, right? The person that is the owner, he's going to hire enough people to serve the community. Now, let's say there was a situation where his pizza went viral for whatever reason. It was on Instagram and people love it. Now you have people not just in the community, but people from all over are coming to this pizza place to get this pizza. And so all those new people coming in means that he's going to need to hire more people to handle the overflow of people that are coming to get his pizza. Now, what some politicians will lead you to believe is, well, you know what? If we give them tax cuts, we give them tax breaks, they're going to take that money and they're going to hire more employees. That's not the way it works. Because if I'm an owner, let's say I'm the owner of this pizza parlor, I'm only going to hire the amount of people that I need to serve the community. And if, let's say, my pizza parlor never goes viral and I'm serving just my community, it's not that many people, I'm going to hire enough people to serve that community. Now, if I get tax breaks, if I get additional money that's coming in from the lawmakers, they give me these different credits and all this stuff like that, I might buy some new ovens and things like that, but I'm not going to hire more employees if I don't have the customers coming in. That's simply how it works. The more customers come in, the more people that I'm going to need to hire. And it's a balancing act. You don't want to have too many people working and not enough customers, because now you're basically throwing money away. You're wasting money. And so I love when these politicians talk about job creators, and they don't realize the job creators are the customers, the people who are buying these products. They're the ones that are allowing for these companies to hire more people because there's a demand. And if there's a demand, then you're going to have these companies hiring more people.
If we don't look at this in a holistic fashion and simply say, let's just make the wealthiest Americans carry more of the burden, because currently about 1% of the population pays about 40% of the taxes. At some point, you break that. You break those folks, and the economy crashes. We need to be looking at this in a holistic way, in a way that's intellectually honest, and I would urge a no vote on this. And with that, Mr. Chairman, if I could, unanimous consent to put into the record the House Budget Committee script related to the annual report from the Board of Trustees and their annual report.
Without objection, so ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
With the remaining time, let me make a couple comments on this. It is critical to our seniors, not just the seniors of today, but of tomorrow. We need to make this thing solvent, give seniors peace of mind, and we need to make it sustainable for the future. A couple things. my Democrat colleagues could have addressed this and the Medicare shortfall when they had run of the show, majority in the House and the Senate and the presidency. They didn't do it. Now,
And this is dishonest too, okay? And you hear this a lot, and I'm not trying to defend Democrats, but when you're looking at the situation, and we all went through this, and I was putting out videos talking just about Social Security and all that during this time. So I know what was going on when it comes to them trying to pass bills and then bringing proposals out and then not seeing those proposals go anywhere. We know that in the Senate, you need 60 votes. So even if you have the majority, you still need 60 votes, which means you still need some Republicans to come on board in order to pass anything. And you can't pass a bill when it comes to Social Security through reconciliation. And so that negated that. So all they had was the reconciliation option, which they used for certain bills, but they couldn't use it for Social Security. And so when you're looking at this, and you have these politicians saying, well, look, you had the House, you had the Senate, and you had the White House, why didn't you do anything? This lawmaker knows that you need 60 votes in the Senate. And because you need 60 votes in the Senate, it needs to be bipartisan. And so it's dishonest for him to say, well, just be you. I mean, you. But when you look at it this way, it sells to the American people, because the American people will say, well, yeah, that's true. They had the House, they had the Senate, they had the White House. Why didn't they get this done? It's their fault. But you have to look at the Senate. If the Senate was a straight majority vote, then they would have passed this a long time ago, because all they would need is 51. And they have that now, and they had that even when they had the majority, they had it with the tiebreaker, the vice president. And so it's dishonest for him to say that, and I mean with a straight face, because he knows the reality. And that's what you're seeing a lot when it comes to these lawmakers. They know the reality, but they're playing a game. Okay, this is it's a debate, and they're trying to win the debate by giving you information, but not giving you everything, but making it look like the other side, they're not doing anything, and they had the opportunity to do something. Why didn't they do anything? Just to make their argument stronger.
I'm not blaming my ranking member or any of my colleagues here, but they didn't do it. And you know what? Republicans didn't do it when we had the run of the show. How about we agree, we just have to get in a room, hash through the pay-fors, hash through the programmatic reforms, and not oversimplify it, but come to a consensus and save that important program that we all know is an earned benefit, as you mentioned, and is critical to our seniors. So with that, I yield the remaining 1 minute to my colleague from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, so first, as the chairman knows, and I thank him, I am always willing to work on the other side of the aisle, and as evidenced by how well he and I work together. The good news is right in front of us, there is an amendment that saves Social Security. We can do this now and start the process. My amendment ensures 100% of benefits will be protected for current and future retirees. And to my good friend from Georgia, to his comments about intellectual honesty, I do want to bring up, in case he wasn't aware, the figures I cited earlier about providing enough revenue through this amendment through the year 2100 was verified by the Joint Committee on Taxation. So it is simply not the case that we also need benefit cuts. And I also say, the chairman will indulge me, I know I haven't heard it from anyone today, but out in the presidential debate, I heard one Republican member, Nikki Haley, make a passionate case for why she wanted to raise the retirement age. She thought it was too low at 65. The full retirement age for Social Security hasn't been 65 for decades. It has already been raised. It is 66 and a half, and effective in 2027 and beyond, it'll be 67. So those who are looking to raise the retirement age really should actually learn more about what this program currently looks like today. With that, I yield back.
I thank the gentleman from Pennsylvania. The question's now agreeing to the amendment offered by Mr. Boyle. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those in opposition say no. It's the opinion of the chair. The noes have it. And as we agreed to, we'll postpone that recorded vote. until later.
And just for the record, ask for a recorded vote.
Absolutely.
Okay, so there it is. You guys saw at the very end there, they voted no, and they recorded the vote, so we'll know who the politicians who voted against it. But obviously, the chairman, he made the decision, it was a voice vote. He made the decision that it's not going to pass. So the amendment did not pass. So in essence, raising the cap on people making $400,000 or more did not pass the committee. So it didn't pass the committee. So it's not going to go any further from there unless it's introduced again, unless there's another amendment. And then hopefully at some point we can get Congress people that are in there that really want to move forward with Social Security, because I don't think these lawmakers wanted to move forward anyway. You heard the excuses that they were giving. And like I said, the longer they wait, the worse it's going to get. And the longer they wait, the more you're going to have to raise taxes on people in order to offset the time that you're wasting right now. And so that's why it's imperative that lawmakers do something. Now, I like that last part when he's talking about Nikki Haley in the debate where she was saying, 65 or older. Some of these lawmakers don't know what's going on. Okay, they don't even know the simple fact that 65, because you'll have lawmakers right now that are talking about raising the full retirement age. Some of them, Nikki Haley being one of them, might think, you know what, it's 65 now, let's raise it to 67, not knowing that it's pretty much 67 right now. And so if you raise it, it's probably going to be 69 or 70. And so that's why it's important to really pay attention to these lawmakers when you're voting for them, because some of them have no clue. And if they have no clue and they have a plan and they're thinking, yeah, we're going to just raise the full retirement age and that should take care of everything, which it won't. We know that already. It only will account for maybe about 12% of if you raise it 1 year, 12%, you raise it 2 years, 24% of the trust fund. So it's only going to impact it at about 24% if you raise it 2 years, raise it 3 years. You guys can do the math when it comes to that. So 12% for each year. So it's not, you're going to have to, you would in essence have to raise it almost up to 77 or so in order for it to make sense when it comes to impacting the trust fund and allowing for people to still be able to get 100% of their Social Security benefits after the 10 years. So I want to know what you guys think about all this. I know this was a longer video, but I think it was important to watch the whole thing, the whole process go through, from the announcing the amendment to the discussion and then having them vote on it. And this is why things don't get done, because you have some lawmakers that just want to sit on their hands and they don't want to do anything. And they're just going to say, no, it's not enough. It's not enough money. So let's reevaluate this. And they keep reevaluating things, not realizing that as time goes on, it's only going to get worse. I won't say not realizing. Some lawmakers realize this, and that's their strategy. Let's delay. And then when we get down to the last, at the very, very end, then we'll just have to do something drastic, but we can delay it now so we don't have to raise taxes on people making over $400,000 or raise taxes on wealthy people. We'll wait as long as we possibly can to do that. So I want to know what you guys think down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.